talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. And today my guest is Sharlene Lynch. And Sharlene is a multi-passionate entrepreneur and veteran workshop facilitator with 30 years experience in business, coaching and a background in accounting and holistic psychology. Speaking with us today on Mindshift, the Future of Mindset, a program which delivers tools and techniques to create a life that thrives. Welcome, Sharlene, and thank you for joining me today.
Oh, Rose, you know I love spending quality time with you. You're one of my favourite human beings, and thanks for inviting me along to the party.
Yes, great party. So tell me a little bit about this mind shift and what is the future of mindset? Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So Mindshift is a process that I take my clients through. So the people that are working one-to-one with people or for corporations and businesses. It's the process that I went through on a personal level, and it's got me from where I was to where I am now. And basically we worked through the shift process. Now, I didn't know how up close and personal we need to get with the guys that listen to this podcast as to where this process came from. Is that something that we should be sharing in this space?
That would be great, yeah.
Oh, okay. So we're about to go deep, and this is a trigger alert for anyone who's listening. Guys, quite some years ago, 9 years almost to the day, my beautiful 17-year-old baby boy took his life. And on that night, a series of events unfolded that took me from where I was to where I am today. So sorry for those who are listening that have had a similar experience, and a special reach out to all of those parents that are listening that have teenage children. And yes, so moving forward from that night, I am a woman of faith. So that night, as I was going through the challenges involved in trying to bring my son back to life, trying to resuscitate him, no, I was praying that I would be successful. And then as the ambulance officers came, they ushered me out of Scott's room, and they tried for, quite some time to resuscitate him. And for that entire period of time, I was still praying that I would get a different outcome, that they would be able to bring him back to life when I was unable to. When the ambulance officer came out of Scott's room, he looked at me, and I know he said something, but I really couldn't hear what he said. The look on his face was enough. It told me that they were unsuccessful. I crashed to my knees, and I was still praying for a different outcome. And I heard one word, and that word was forgive. So that begins my my journey of moving forward, is being in a place of forgiveness. So with everyone that I speak to, with everyone that I work with, I ask them, who do you need to forgive? Is it yourself? Is it a situation? Is it a person? How can you move from where you are currently now to move forward? And the process does begin with forgiveness. Later on that night, as I'm sitting in my chair looking at my giant cup of coffee now going cold, the police were conducting their interviews, and I said out loud, now I thought I was just speaking to myself, but I said out loud because clearly everyone in the room stopped what they were doing, including breathing, and looked at me. And I said, I'm not just going to survive this. I'm going to thrive through this. That's what Scott would want. And the CIB were so puzzled by that statement, they wrote it down, as they do with everything, but I was questioned over that later. So apparently that's not something that a mother going through that on the night of her son's passing, you don't get to that conclusion that quickly. But I do believe that going through the process of forgiving Scott is what got me there that quickly. So that's the next thing we talk about, is creating a decision. Decision is to cut and kill. Decision is to move forward and only have that one thing. Marriage is a decision, and that cuts off and kills all other options. When we make a decision, what happens is our psychological immune system kicks in and allows us to move forward, and we're protected in that choice and protected from other options. So what I find with lots of people that work in business is they don't make a decision. They sit on the fence. and their own brains are not supporting them. So you need to start that with a decision. And then the next day I started with writing out, pages and pages of the things that I was grateful for, because I knew I needed to shift how I was thinking, and I needed to shift fast to be able to even just get through that week between Scott's passing and the funeral, because everything was falling on my shoulders. The people around me were needing more help than I to get through. So yeah, I realized really quickly I needed to change my frequency. So, I know enough about gratitude. I knew enough about gratitude that was the secret key. So I just started writing out everything I was grateful for. And to this day, I still do gratitude journals. I do acts of gratitude. I verbalize gratitude. So everything I do is in and around gratitude. So those three things, being in a state of forgiveness and making a decision and acting in gratitude, have helped me move through the shift process. And that helped me. So what it did is I made some changes in my life, and then I retrospectively looked back and had a look at how I made those changes. And that's the space that I help businesses through, and people through as well. But I am predominantly a business coach, so that's the area that I work in. So the shift process begins with seeing the big picture. Now, when I made that decision that I was going to live a different life, I was a hoarder. To go through that process of decluttering, it was 33 cubic meters of stuff. So seeing the big picture for myself, I was surrounded with, for those of you who know people that are in that space of hoarding, you can understand that a cluttered environment is a cluttered brain, and to live in that space, it was slowing my energy to be able to move forward. So maybe that's what I'll do, is I'll tell you where I've come from. So I've recovered from a chronic hoarding disability. That was a family pattern. My father was a hoarder, his grandfather was a hoarder, and it goes back apparently generations. So, and I was living in that space. I'd also put on 25 kilos, and that was from not eating healthy and supporting myself. So I made a decision to become a vegetarian and lost 25 kilos. I also was trapped in a series of mental illness challenges, OCD to the point of self-harming, spats of really deep depression, and then also really chronic anxiety as well, to the point of not being able to leave the house. So with all of those challenges, and I've been able to move through those to get to the other side. Also 30 years as an alcoholic. So yeah, that's a huge shift. So all of these things and a stack more of the things where I was living in that time and space when I made that decision to live a different life. And so the shift process has got me through to the other side. So we start the shift process with S. S is see the big picture. So for yourself, what is the big picture? And this part here, Rose, I've got to say, is the thing that people struggle with the most. Is seeing the big picture.
It is.
They can, they can see it for other people. They can see it for their children when they're helping their children make decisions about their education and who they should date and what they should do. So they can see it for other people, but people seem to be challenged when it comes to dreaming big enough for themselves and their businesses. So we see the big picture. Now, I'm not just talking about entrepreneurs and people that are business coaches. I'm talking about the big clients that I have that run multi-million-dollar businesses. When we do this S, when we do the shift process, when we do see the big picture, it is unique what we can come up with when we really give ourselves an opportunity to see what truly is possible. So we have to begin every journey with seeing the big picture. And that's what I did that night. Even when I didn't have an understanding of how I was going to get there, I saw a massive picture for myself. And then what I did spent weeks crafting out what I wanted my life to look for. Yes, from where I was at that point in time, it seemed quite impossible. And that's the secret. If when you craft this big picture, this see the big picture, when you craft it, it needs to feel to a point of that's not believable, that's too big. It needs to feel like that, because then it's a big enough stretch. If it feels believable, it's not big enough. You need to stretch it further. So that's the S, see the big picture. And the next one is H in the shift. And that is hone in on reality. This is where we roll our sleeves up and we get gritty and find out exactly what's happening. For the entrepreneurs, we have a look at, where are you bleeding financially? Where are you spending money you don't need to? What are you doing on a daily basis that's stopping you being able to move forward? What are your daily habits that are stopping you from being everything that you could be? What do you need to outsource? Yes. And, so we toggle between the two, seeing the big picture and honing in reality. And what we do is we find the gap between those two and how we can get there. So that's a magical place. It's a place of reality, and it's a place of building. So once we've done those two steps, then the next one is implement quick wins. And implementing quick wins, you'd be really surprised what you can do immediately. So whether it's on a personal level or it's on a business level, what you can actually implement immediately to save you money, to get you closer to your dreams. And sometimes we can't see the trees for the forest. We need an outsider to go, okay, why are you doing that? How is that earning you an income? How is that paying dividends? And we just go through and we find quick wins. So my find the quick win was giving up coffee. So that night when I was staring at my giant cup of coffee, which was going cold, I had been an 8-cup a day girl. I drank 8 cups of coffee a day. Now, I was unable to drink my coffee that day because of a psychological attachment I'd made to the coffee. And what I didn't realize is by me giving up coffee from that day on, and I don't drink coffee, I don't eat anything that's coffee flavored, I just don't go near the stuff now, is that quick win, that implementing that quick win made me see, what, if I can give up coffee 8 cups a day, I can give up my 5 liters of wine I was drinking a day, 5 bottles of wine I was drinking a day. So, but you need to start with implementing quick wins. What can you do immediately? So that's the next step we take them through in the shift process, is designing quick wins and implementing them very quickly. And what happens is it helps to change the wiring in your brain, and it kicks in with that serotonin level. So you then think that more things are possible. By giving up the coffee, I could see that giving up the alcohol wouldn't be that far away. And the next step, the next letter in the shift process is F. F is, find the patterns. People run businesses. Businesses don't run businesses. And that's what we need to do. We need to isolate and identify the patterns that have held you in the space that you're in. So we find the patterns. And then that allows us to have a space between thought and action and make changes that are real. So for my case, I was actually having a look at not just life patterns, but family patterns that I was born into. Now, if you believe in past lives, if you believe in reincarnation, then you can also have a more holistic look at it from outside that spectrum. It is absolutely fascinating at these patterns. And it's like watching a train wreck. It's like we can see it happening. We can see the train wreck happening, but we just don't seem to be able to do anything about it. We redesign a space for you to be able to see these patterns and be able to take action so that you don't repeat these things. So that's F, focus on the patterns. And then T is take massive action. So I'm a recovering perfectionist. So I like to say, take massive imperfect action. And that's what we need to do. So what happens for many people is they have all these thought processes. They might be watching 1,000 different webinars. They might be, shiny objects. They're in there doing all these things, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, but they're not taking massive action. You need to take massive action. Commit yourself to the start dates of your courses. Commit yourself to taking on new employees, if that's what you need to actually move forward to free up your time. So we take massive imperfect action. So that's the shift process. SHIFT, that's the shift process. And that's what I take people through, either entrepreneurs, business coaches, smaller businesses, and also larger businesses as well. It is amazing how that process can just change the way that you do business. Now, I deliver that in a business unpack, which is about a 2.5-hour process. We only go through the first 2 letters, so see the big picture and hone in on reality, but that gives us a framework to be able to move forward. Now, some people, that's all they'll need is a business unpack. Others, they'll need the whole process end to end.
Wow, that is amazing. I have heard you talk about the shift process on many occasions, but never quite as long as that.
I didn't check. How long have I got to talk, Rose? Because you know me, I can talk the legs off a donkey.
You can, yes, I know. I've seen you. I've heard you. But you've always got really got good things to say and lots of information. And you know, you've taught me a lot over the years that we've known each other. Just the things like gratitude. I don't journal, you know, and you keep nagging me to, but it's just something that I don't do. But you know, having and living a life of gratitude and you know, reaching out to the universe, you know, with the vibrations that you know, and be positive about everything rather than, you know, thinking negative things, because what you think is what you attract. So, you know, thinking positive thoughts, and you know, you've taught me a lot of things and really changed my life around in so many ways. So yeah, and you didn't even have the shift process back then. It must have been sort of being something that you were planting.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, so thank you, Rose, and vice versa. I love being in your proximity. I'm a huge Rose fan. So, you know, that's something that I discovered as I was going through and unpacking my intellectual property, is that I have a God-given gift to help people unpack their IP. Don't know where it came from. I think it's something to do with being dyslexic. So I see patterns in things that other people don't see patterns in. So I see patterns in language. I see patterns in vibration. I see patterns. I think it's a dyslexic thing. So it's really interesting when I speak to a client and they've got no idea what they do. After an hour of chatting together, or not even an hour, I can do it in 15 minutes. We can just really see what the pattern is, and I can say, okay, and then reword it. Now, I don't have the genius. It comes out of them, but I just seem to know the questions to ask someone to help them put that together. And that's what we do in the Business Unpack. So similarly, I did that for myself. I had a look at all of the things that I've done to get to where I am and then unpacked it. And then that's what it looks like. It looks like Mindshift. So because, Rose, you know that my mission on this planet is to raise the frequency of the planet. You know that's my mission.
Yes, it is.
And what I really am an advocate for is helping people live their life on purpose. Because I know when you're living your life on purpose and doing the things that make your heart sing, then you're lifting your vibration. And it's just like a rising tide. A rising tide lifts all ships. And when we're individually happy and we're individually doing the things that make us feel amazing, we make others feel amazing, and it literally lifts everyone's frequency. So you can hear I'm really passionate about that space.
Now tell me a little bit about your course that's coming up.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So my new baby. So for quite some time, I've been working one-on-one with my clients to help them unpack their IP and get them into a space where they can be doing group courses. So we've got Mindshift, we've got Earn More, Work Less, which I love. I've taken myself through the process now, and I've taken quite a few of my clients through the process. So what we're doing is working in a space where we take what they're doing one-on-one with a client and help them work in a space one-to-many. And these are very connected group coaching courses. So I'm taking people through a course so that they can then take others through the same course with their intellectual property. Now, quite a few of the people that have put their hands up don't necessarily have their intellectual property unpacked, so we're helping them in that space. Others that are in this space, they really love the process and they're very comfortable speaking one-to-one, scared shitless, I don't know if I can say that word.
Yeah, you can.
to actually speak to camera. So they're getting additional help in speaking to camera. Others have got they've got an idea of how they can help people, but they haven't really unpacked what that looks like. So what I'm doing is, this is a beta course. So I've been doing this one-to-one and it works beautifully. Now we're doing it one-to-many. And so it's a very small group. We'll have about 6 to 8 people by the time we actually get started. It starts the end of October, and it's called Mindshift, Earn More, Earn Less, Work Less, Earn More, sorry. We were just actually coming up with the URL for it, and you see the list is absolutely hilarious. And my brain's all over the place by going through picking out which URL we're going to be using. So it's really exciting, and I love working in this space, helping people work from one-to-one to one-to-many, because it's the same, and it's a little different. In the group dynamic, what we find is it changes the way people feel so much more comfortable to share, and people bounce off each other. And even if the people in that space are not all at the same level, it doesn't seem to matter. And that's been one of the reasons why people have said, oh, I don't want to work one-to-many, because each of my clients are at different spaces. Going through this process will show you it doesn't matter. No one's ever going to be on the same level as someone else. There's always going to be some things that they do better than others. And that's what this group course looks like. It helps everybody. The rising tide helps all ships.
Wow, I might have to join.
Well, speak to me. I'll make sure. Actually, you know, because this is a beta course, we're running it at a ridiculous price. So it runs over 6 weeks. It's an hour together in the group situation, and every week you get an extra half an hour with me just to work on your own individual aspects. By the time we've finished, we take your intellectual property, put that together in I say a 6-week program, because that's the ideal length. Some of the people are going to be delivering a 4 week, some are actually going to be delivering a 12 week. So it just depends on what that particular person's process looks like as to how long that will be. But my course is 6 weeks, and you'll walk out at the end of it with your course ready to go. And if you need additional help in all sorts of things, whether it be social media, whether it be speaking to camera, whether it be, and obviously, Rose, we're using your facilities for people that need to have their PowerPoints prepared for their online presentations as well. So, Rose, it would be great to have you in that space, because you're one of the people I'm referring people to if they haven't got their IP organised, and as far as putting it onto the PowerPoint presentations and making the little videos. So we've already spoken about that. I've also got someone organised to create the landing pages and the sequences around that. So if you're not techie, then this is a great course to do, because all of the aspects that you need, if it's not something that I can teach you easily, or some people just like, I don't want to learn that, that's okay. If you don't want to learn it, I can send you to people that can do that for you. And I'm really excited, because quite a few of my clients are still in the process of doing their launches right now. And I just the conversations with them have been, why haven't I done this earlier? Why haven't I done this earlier? I can do one-to-one, and I smash that space. So that's interesting. So one of the sections that we talk about is Mindshift itself, and that's about money blocks. So we actually do spend some time talking about, okay, let's have a look at what's happening for you and your brain about money, and we really identify what's happening in that space. Because if you haven't transitioned to working to one-to-many, there's reasons, and it's not just about that you don't understand the tech. It's also that you don't understand the process, and quite frequently I'm finding money blocks with my clients. So we've got a great section on that to really go deep and have a look at what's happening in that space. So yeah, Rose, we'd love you to join us. It goes for 6 weeks, starts the end of October, and we're doing it for only $3,000 for the 6 weeks, which is a stupid price, I know, considering what you're going to walk out with, because you'll be in a position to charge that and more per client by the time you finish to launch your own program. So you'll make that money back in no time. The reason why, and everyone's going, why are you charging so little, Sharlene? If you're talking about money shifts and money blocks and everything else, why are you only charging $3,000 for the course? Because this is a beta course. So what happens in a beta program is I'm going to be reaching out, asking for feedback on how we're delivering it, because we're testing and measuring as we're going. Not all of the tech's set up. So some of it's going to be manual. It'll be sent to you by G Drive, so it's not on a landing page, but that is in process as well. And also I'm going to be reaching out looking for testimonials, and I'm going to be sticking my nose in your business after the course, because I'll be tracking what's happening for you. So that's why it's such a good price. So yeah, I know, $3,000 for a 6-week course, and it starts with that business unpack. So it starts with that shift process at the beginning, so that I can get up close and personal to your business, have a look at where you want to be, where you are, looking at the gaps, and then also helping you with that intellectual property so that you can deliver that one-to-many course. So excited. This has been quite a long time in the creation. We've been working on it since the beginning of the year. So it's now October. And COVID, thank you, COVID. It sort of got in the way of us having the course launched in early April, which is when it was actually supposed to be launched. And that's okay. We've added lots of additional bells and whistles to it since then. And I'm really, really excited. Rose, we'd love you to join us.
Yeah, I think COVID's has had to make businesses pivot from being up close and personal into being into the online space, which a lot of people are so unfamiliar with, or just really not comfortable being in that space, because it's just.
Absolutely, Rose. Yes, and it's also making these beautiful online connected group courses a possibility. So I've been working in the last, 3 months with people from every continent, every location, places I hadn't even heard of. And this is all because of COVID. So yes, and look at the good that's come from it. So I'm excited, Rose, because there's quite a few of the things that you do in your space that the clients that I've got coming through my Mindshift process will be looking for. So you offer the PowerPoint presentations, also the videos as well. And these are two of the things, amongst many of the other services that you offer, two of the things that many of the people in this space will be looking for. So I'm looking forward to more collaboration with you. It's never enough, Rose.
No, we've got our fingers in lots of little pies, you and I.
We do. We work together on Healing Through Love, which is our charity space for creating a soft place to land for survivors of domestic and family violence. So I love the fact that we get to spend so much time together.
It's really good. Anyway, I'm really excited for you about your course. It sounds really awesome.
I'm excited too.
And thank you for sharing your story about Scott. It was. It's I know it's painful for you still, even after all this time, but it's a story that's worth telling, from how you can change your mindset, and shift your space in your thinking from one place to another, because there's a need to, rather than just staying stagnant, and you can actually see around what's necessary for you to move forward. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And
true.
And thank you so much for being here with me today. And I will see you very soon.
Well, Rose, can I share a link with your people to the course?
Yep.
The honest truth is, not everyone's going to be a fit for this. It's just not going to be the right fit, right time, right fit for them. So what I am doing is having a conversation with people who are interested, to see if this is the right time and place for them. And if the whole Mindshift program is not what they're looking for, then they might just be looking for a business unpack, which will definitely get them back on track and heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
So can I share a link with you?
Sure, you can. I'll grab the link off you and I'll put it in underneath the video and include it in the podcast.
Excellent. That's so fantastic. Thank you so much for spending quality time with me today.
Yeah, take care.
I love you.
I love you too. Bye, darling.
Bye for now.